This next guest that we have with us is a writer extraordinaire. I mean to tell you, Robert Earl Dean, the catalog that this man has, he has to literally sign multiple artists to his label just so that the whole catalog can go before he sees Jesus. He can get at least a fourth of his catalog done, and out there.
Do you think he has a relationship with Jesus to be able to write songs
Well,
like he does?
I tell you, this young man, I remembered him when I was a teenager. And
You was a teenager before?
Yes, man.
Wow.
And I was saved too.
You were saved?
Yes, and I saw him. Now, I wasn't even a record executive back then,
Right.
but when I heard him sing, I said, look, we need to get him a contract.
Yes.
It was back in the day where they had the cassette tapes.
You was
And-
prophetic.
and-
You was
and-
speaking it in existence.
and after you would minister at the church,
Yes.
you go back there and make the cassette tapes
Right.
so people can buy it.
Yes.
Man, I had so many every time he came down, I had so many cassette tapes, and then I had to go and get them remade because they would rip and tear.
Yes.
Because the white ones were a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Than the ones you buy in the store.
Right.
But man, I tell you, when he got signed,
When he got signed.
and started putting out music. I tell you.
Well, you first heard him with the West Angeles Church of God in Christ with a song called Press Toward the Mark.
No, that's not when I first heard him.
I'm talking about that's when the world
That's
really
what-
heard him on a national platform.
Yeah, because I heard him when he was singing at the church,
Right,
at the Kojic, at
right, mhm.
Bishop Blake's church in
Right.
San Diego.
Yes, but
Praise
the world
Lord.
came
The
to know
world.
him on that Press Toward the Mark. People were like, who is that man singing that song?
Press toward the mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes.
so now we've zoomed in years later,
Yes.
and he is a household name.
Yes.
A 2-time Grammy Award winner.
Yes, and you know what? And he gives out awards, and I'm trying to get on his award show.
You know what what the Bible told me and what the Lord said? Only what you do for Christ will last. You just be faithful over a few. He'll make you ruler over many.
Okay.
So don't worry about the awards.
Okay.
You do what God wants you to do, and that
Preach
stuff
to yourself,
will, that
brother.
stuff will
Preach
come.
to yourself.
Yeah, I'm
Who
preaching to you.
Who do we got
I ain't
today?
think about no awards. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so honored to have this young man with us. We are excited. He's family, and he's going to chop it up with us, and he's going to update us with the things he's doing for the ministry. None other than the one and only, the voice himself, Bishop Norman Hutchins. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Wow. Grace and peace to you both. The Wake Up Morning Show.
Yes.
We're so glad,
Wow, it's
glad to have you.
good to talk to you guys.
I'm
Elder and Robert Earl Dean, you guys are just
I'm
phenomenal at what you do. You're so faithful at it, and from time to time I wake up and I tune in and
Yeah.
thank you for the notifications, and
Right.
and I just enjoy your consistency and how you just allow God to use you to bless the airways, man, and keep people inspired and encouraged. And trust me, I'm gonna tell you something I don't think people understand. They don't understand the commitment it takes. That no matter what you are facing in your personal life,
Come on.
when you do your countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go live,
Come on.
you put all of that on the on the background,
Yes, sir.
on the shelf,
Yes, sir.
and you smile and you laugh and you present yourselves in an excellent way, and the glory of God radiates through your voices, and people have no idea what you dealt with before you came on air,
You
or
better
what
preach
you got to deal with when you get off the air.
My God.
And so I want to applaud you and commend you both for that, for allowing the love of God, the radiance of God, to bleed through your personality and your laughter and your words of inspiration and encouragement in the face of whatever you may be dealing. And it's not that you're always dealing with something, but we're human.
Come on.
And we know we do.
Yes,
and
sir.
I want to thank God for your commitment to that. I just thought I'd say that.
Well, y'all know he can preach too. I forgot to tell you he's a pastor, so you can hear him the preaching side now.
Yeah, Bishop, one of the things that I'm very excited about is that I want you just really to paint the vision of your record label and how you're going about it, because a lot of people see a lot of people being signed to your label, but you have a mission and God gave you
Right.
a
vision.
a vision of how to go about it to bless the people. So can you share with the people your vision in about the record label?
Yeah, gladly too. So after I finished the contracts with the last label that I was signed to, the Lord blessed my wife and I to birth IR Music Group, and it was really just so that I could personally continue recording, and I did that, and it just got to a point where I was writing more music than I could record,
Right.
and every song that I write is really not for me, but it's still for the kingdom and
Yeah.
it's still for the world. And so my wife and I had a discussion and we put a team together. And I said, this is what I want us to do. I want us to do several things. Number one, let's be a launching pad for new and up and coming artists to introduce them to the business, teach them the business, and show them how to make it a long term career. And then number two, get this music out there so that it can continue to bless the body and keep God's name glorious in the airways. And so when we go out, we seek for artists who are serious about God, and perhaps they may not be writers. And sometimes if I don't have a song that fit them, I'll just listen to something that they've sung before, and man, and God will just drop something in my spirit for them that really matches their level of ministry, and we record that. Um, as you probably know, we really don't do full CDs,
Right.
and I'm not saying that we won't, but I'll do a single. We'll work that, and if that single does well, we'll do another one.
There you go.
If that one does well, then we'll start talking about doing a full project, because one single puts you on a playlist of other songs, but a full CD puts you in the car on the long trip.
Well,
That's
well,
good.
well. Let me say this, and I'm gonna get this off my chest early, So don't drop the phone. Don't drop the phone. Look, he dropped the phone when I said I was going. Come on back, Bishop. It ain't gonna be
All
that
right, I'm
bad.
coming back.
Yeah. I just wanted to, Robert Odin, I wanted to get it off my chest
Get you off your
early,
chest.
early enough in the interview so I could, allow it to, be done
Can y'all
with.
hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Can't
Just
see
can't
you
see
yet.
you.
Okay. I got to get the video back. It
Yeah.
dropped.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
How do I get back
but
to the
Bishop has always been very special to us. He's one of the people that you when you want to talk or if you want to ask questions, you can call him, and he is a ever present help.
Very approachable.
Yeah, and it's always good to see him and how he goes about the ministry.
Right.
And that's the fun thing that a lot of times when you're trying to get in the industry, so many people don't want to help you.
Oh no, they don't, because a lot of them will see you as a threat when in actuality, collaborations and working together is what makes this industry what it is. If you look at the rap world, look at the R&B world, some of the artists' biggest hits were when they were doing duets and collaborating
Collabs,
with
yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
I think that's
and-
important
Okay,
that people.
there I go.
I think it's important that people understand that.
Yeah, and that's the thing that is so important when you begin to look at who God connects you with and who God
Very important.
puts you with, because a lot of times you put yourself with the wrong people and it pulls you down. Now, Bishop, I know you dropped the phone when I said I had to get this off my chest,
Well,
but
get it off your
I
chest.
apologize.
but I want to get
apologize.
back to it.
That's probably why I dropped the phone.
Come
Yes,
on,
yes.
say it.
now.
Because I already know you.
Yeah, now some years in my mind ago, I sent you my virtual demo.
Not the letterheads.
Now leave it alone. And I sent you my virtual demo in the spirit realm, and I was waiting to hear back from you on a spiritual level if there was a song that I was gonna be able, but I ain't heard back from you. So I'm not gonna make it about me today.
Thank you.
But what I do want to ask you, Bishop,
What?
is how do people connect, or how do you discover people that will be people that you work with? Because see, when you say a single, every time you say a single, I keep on saying, "Oh, but there's going to be the best stuff. There's going to be the best stuff." So that's an album. So I'm just
Right.
saying that. So tell me, if I was an artist and the Lord got an anointing on my life, just like Leonard and the Leonard, but the anointing is even deeper because it's real.
Come on.
How do they connect with you, or how do they even get in your presence for you to hear them?
Okay, first of all, I really don't seek for people because I'm not the A&R director, and I actually do not even have an A&R director. Um, um, God allowed my pathway to cross people,
Yes.
and then friends and constituents. Case in point, like I saw the interview that you guys did with Marquise Williams. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I didn't see it live, but I was able to go back and do the replay.
Yes.
And I got a phone call from Andre Russell and say, "Hey, Norman," because him and I've been friends for years. He
Right.
says, "Man, I got this guy in LA you need to hear." I said, "Well, let me hear him." And when I heard him, oh my God. And I had a song for him, but I said, "You a writer too?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, let me hear you. What you write?" And this dude sent me that song. Yes, he did it. I said, "Shoot, that's the song. So let's do that."
Right.
And so we put that out. And of course, I believe at some point we're going to do another single, and we might be able to do the song that I had penned for him. But if he got something else, we'll do that too. Just like Robert Earl. I mean, we've been knowing you guys for years. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, Norman, I got this girl down there. I call her the backwoods of Texas.
Yes, sir.
Carolyn Trailer."
Woo.
And he introduced me to her, and I reached out to her. And what's crazy is about a week before Robert Earl reached out to me, I wrote a song, and I said, "Man, I got to find the right voice for this." And when he introduced me to her, I reached out to her. She sent me one of her songs, and I said, "God, this is a perfect song for her." So I sent her the demo. I said, "Tell me what you think." Man, she called me back. She said, "Oh, this is it. This is it." Because it was one of them kind of songs. I call it the sermonic song before a preacher gets up and preach. And so I've already got the music produced. You know,
Wow.
uh, we're in the process of setting up a calendar to fly her to California and record her vocals. I'm hoping Robert is free since that's his friend that we can coordinate it so we can all get together or maybe even record it in her vocals in San Diego or something like that. But pretty much everybody on the label, except for those that I promised years ago that
Right.
if God ever give me an opportunity to record them, I would. I reach back to them, but I reach forward to people that God placed in my pathway.
Now, do you remember way back at Jack's Memorial when you promised me?
No, he don't
What
remember
did uh,
that.
No, I'm just
no,
messing with you.
I don't quite. Steve, what I remember about you is being Gabriel blowing the trumpet.
Yes, yes.
See,
So I'm asking God that when you finally get to heaven, that He let you play in the orchestra.
Well, all right, I'll
I
take that.
touch and agree. I touch and agree.
As long as I can get to heaven,
Yes.
whatever role I'm playing, as long as I'm
You need
there.
to blow
Right.
your trumpet. You need to blow your trumpet. Now you got to be a trumpet background player for Gabriel. Now you can't
Yeah.
be Gabriel.
You
You
can't
know.
take
But
his
well,
place.
I love the movie Drumline where they say one band, one sound.
Right.
And if I get
Yes.
everybody on that thing, one band, one sound, musicians, we need to hear the singers. Singers, we need to hear the
I
musician. Let's all
I
work
hear you.
together so that we can be on one
On
accord.
one accord, that's important. That's
Yes, yes,
important.
yes.
Yeah.
One thing I
Yeah.
admire about you is that you have a heart for people. For you being receptive, first of all, because in your position, a lot of people are not receptive in the executive position. For someone to be able to call you and for you to be receptive to listen. A lot of times,
Yes.
people in the industry, if it ain't their idea, if it ain't their vision, they don't tend to help push other people. So that's one of the things I think God has blessed you with, because that's a special
But
characteristic.
Robert Earl, want me to tell you where that comes from? That is birthed out of the pain of rejection.
Wow.
Because when I was pursuing through my white cassettes and going to concerts and
Hmm.
trying to get influential people to just listen to
Right,
it. Can you
right.
just listen? And I remember, I won't tell you the name. I this major artist. I was at a premiere and I gave them one of my CDs at the time,
Hmm.
and they took it. And when the evening was over, when they left, on my way out, I saw it sitting on the table.
Wow.
And so, I mean, at least take it with you. You know, even if you don't listen, take it with you. But anyway, but I promise God, Lord, if you ever give me an opportunity to help others, I will never treat them the way I've been treated. It doesn't cost anything to listen. It doesn't
No.
cost anything to encourage somebody, even if it doesn't fit the format which we're trying to promote.
Hmm.
Still encourage. Just like yesterday, I was walking through the mall, and this guy he stopped me. He said, "Hey, let me clean your shoes." So he cleaned my shoes and everything, and we just kind of got to talking. And I said, "So what did you do?" He told me, he said he wasn't a gospel rapper, but he was a secular trying to do his music.
Right.
And I just encouraged him, and I told him who I was, and he pulled up my name and saw that music, and he was just floored.
Yeah.
And I pulled out some money. I ain't gonna tell you how much. And I said, "Well, I'm gonna sow into you." I said, "But whatever you do, you keep on cleaning these shoes and you keep on pursuing your dreams." That didn't cost me nothing
Wow.
to encourage somebody. And so, and the truth is, not everybody that people connect me with is a good fit for what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
But I listen. But I tell you something funny though. I got an email just yesterday from someone because my information is not private. I put it out there because I want to communicate with people.
Right.
And someone sent me an email saying, "I got a song that I wrote for you,
Uh-oh.
and I want you to hear it, but I can't let you hear it until I get a contract with you. Because it's my song, and I want you to. He said it's business. I want you to take it." Now, when you approach me like that, first of all, you're approaching a writer,
Correct.
okay? And number two, you don't get a contract before I listen to the song.
Right.
Number three, copyright it. If you copyright it, you can let anybody hear it.
In the first
You know,
place.
in the first place. So I haven't even responded to the email yet. And if I do, I'm just kind of being, sensitive and prayerful and waiting because I don't just give a impulse response.
Right.
An impulse response is a flesh response,
Come on.
not a spiritual response. So what I'm going to share with him, I'm say, listen, I'm gonna give him, a lesson in it at all
Yes.
at all. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
I'll have to say something to the effect, thank you for reaching out to me. I really appreciate it.
Hmm.
However, if it is your intentions for your music to be heard, no company is going to give you a contract before they review it.
Never.
As a matter of fact, very few companies would even allow you to solicit music. But if you would get it copyrighted, then you can freely let anyone hear it without any reservation that they will somehow gain control over that music.
Wow.
Um,
That, that
and then in my closing, I'll say, always remember the song belongs to God. Something
yeah.
like that.
Right.
That's very, and I hear where
Wow.
you come at. As an executive too, mine is a
Hmm.
little bit different.
Uh-huh.
And I tell folks all the time is simply this: if you are a writer and you're reaching out to a writer, then have a writer to writer conversation. Because
Right,
there's a respect level.
Hmm.
If you're a
right.
CEO, have CEO to CEO conversations. But I always tell an artist, don't send your manager to come talk to me because
Right,
then I'm going to send you over to A&R. You know what I'm saying?
right,
But if you want to
right.
talk to me, you come and talk to me and let me get to know you first. And then when
Yeah,
we got to go to
and I
contracts
agree.
and everything else, that's how we go about it. But a lot of times, and this is something as a teaching message, a
Teach 'em
lot
more.
of people have managers, but they have nothing to manage.
Nothing.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
and they're trying to be in the game, but they're not understanding that the first line of your defense is that we got to know if we can trust you with the
Yeah,
word and with the
definitely.
ministry. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
saying?
marriage.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah,
what I
you got
tell
to have a
people.
rapport with the artist
Yeah.
first. And what I typically say in our agreements is, if you have management representation, it is our goal to work with them,
Yes.
but we reserve the right. if it becomes difficult to deal directly to the artist.
Yes.
Yeah. And the thing about it is simply this. Um, when you operate in integrity and
Right,
and your heart is to do right by people,
right.
the biggest thing is that we're going to take care of the paperwork. You know what I'm
Definitely
saying?
so.
But if I don't even know if I like you, and a lot of people don't get this. Some record labels don't care if they like you or not as long as you're making the money.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
when you're
that's
in
right. And you have
ministry,
a fan base.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But when you're in ministry, you're doing life together. And it's a much
Right.
more different approach when you are focused on the ministry. Now, granted, financially, we have to have resources to do
Correct.
what we do. But if I got to spend more time, and this some Bishop, I remember playing one of the Houses of Blues, and the manager, they called the manager in and said the manager came to me and said, I just wanted to meet you all. And I said, okay, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. He said, no, you are the first gospel group that we've had here that we did not have to tell them to put out the weed. And
Wow.
that you guys are
Wow.
really singing, believe what you sing.
Wow.
Wow.
And literally he said, we have not seen it. And so I just wanted to come down and see who you guys were.
Jesus.
And so my whole thing is that we have to represent the kingdom
Come
no
on.
matter
Come
where we
on.
go. And I know that the people that you're signing to your label, the biggest thing is you want them to represent the kingdom first and foremost.
Yes.
Because then all the rest will be handled.
Now you know something else too. There are people in that I have actually signed, but I dropped them from the label. Never did put out the single, even after my investment. And it's because there were things that were covered that were later on discovered.
Yes.
And I'd rather take a loss than to mar my integrity.
Yeah.
And it's not really a loss because
And,
God's gonna
and
always
you're right. You're right. You're right.
cover you.
You're so right.
And
You're
you're
right.
covering your ministry. And in this time we're living in, we gospel singers, radio people, whomever's doing anything under the name of gospel, we got to try to be right. There's so much
Yeah.
foolishness going on social media with pastors cursing in the pulpit, singers doing
Yeah.
everything under the sun. God wants us to come back to him. We've gotten so
Yes.
commercialized. We've gotten away from the essence of gospel music. We were once the music that was so different from everybody else.
Yes. And you're right. You're right. And and for almost 30 years I was on the artist side. So you tend to see the artist side.
Right.
But once you cross over to the executive side, that's when you really get to know what's going on in
Yeah.
the industry.
Yeah.
And it just grieves my heart sometimes when I cross the path of new and up and coming artists and I have conversation with them and talk to them about doing some music together. Their first question is can we put it out in time for the Grammys, for the Stellar Awards? And I say to them, our job is not to make you famous. Our job is to help you to be effective.
Yeah.
Come on.
You see, and the accolades are okay in its place,
Come on.
but don't seek for earthly treasure. Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness.
Yes, sir.
And his promise is that all other things will be added. Who knew that in 2003, when I recorded God's Got a Blessing, that one day it would go double platinum? Who knew that? I didn't know that.
Double platinum. Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? Who in the world knew that? If you'd have told me that in 2005, and matter of fact, and it did well. It was one of the best selling songs of my career. But who knew? Who knew that one day Emmanuel would be the number one gospel Christmas song
Yes, sir.
in the country for the last 12 years?
Yes, sir.
Wait. I got it. Cause see, I got a new thing that I want to do today with you, and it's I'm gonna call a song, and I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Wow,
You ready?
I'm ready.
A move of God is on the way.
Blindness,
Okay. Emmanuel.
intermission.
Okay.
Let me explain that real quick. So intermission was Emmanuel was I recorded that live at West Angeles.
Okay.
we did Emmanuel. It was the first song after intermission.
Uh-huh.
And I chose that song because I said, well, we'll just sing Emmanuel while folks are coming back to their seats. And it ended up being a big song.
A big
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
song,
sorry.
a huge
Yeah.
song.
God is faithful.
DCM.
Okay. God's got a blessing.
Road Trip.
Okay. He's been good.
I'm trying to think of the song. He's been good. He's been good. The world is that?
Okay. How about this one? I really love you.
Woo, the UK. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, because my thing, every time I hear I really love you, I'm talking about road trip down the 101
Yeah,
highway.
I know. Well, I said UK because I got a report that it's the #1 song in the UK.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
even
Gospel
now?
song.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Wow,
And it's on wax. It's on wax.
yeah, yeah,
They sent me a copy of it on wax, Robert. It's
wow.
crazy. They
yeah.
put I really love you on one side and they put God's got a blessing on the other side.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. Uh, you've been in the industry for decades, and you are still relevant to this very day.
People love him.
The question comes in, what is next for Bishop Hutchins? And I do want to say you came back to the best coast,
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes,
and
sir.
so,
Yeah,
so
this is really where Jesus lives.
yes, yeah.
This
so,
this where he takes his vacation.
Yes, yes, sir.
so tell us what's next for you.
Well, what's next is what's now.
Uh-huh.
you know, and I've done stage plays for years back east. I've had sellouts, and but the Lord had me to take a hiatus because it was interfering with my focus in terms of pastoring. And now that I've moved back to Los Angeles, the Lord has released me to do that. So what happened was, when I did the Impact Awards in February, Steve Harris, who was my film producer, he invited a lot of his friends from Hollywood. And so I met quite a few influential friends and of his. And then after that, one of them invited us to dinner. So we went out to dinner and come to find out this gentleman, they owned a franchise of I Dream of Jeannie, yeah. And they own a franchise of 13 Broadway hit plays.
Wow.
And their top one was To Kill a Mockingbird. So I met with them, and because Steve wanted me to share with them what I do, and so we were talking about the stage play. I was preparing to put it up here in Los Angeles at the Wilshire E. Bell. That was going to be my first premiere, and then take it across the country. And Steve said he would be good to connect with because he got the connections in terms of investors
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so as I explained it to him, he said to me, he said, that don't sound like a stage play. He said, that sounds like a sitcom. And so I said, well, that's really the vision. Eventually, once I finish the stage play, I want to make it a television sitcom. So my
Right.
mind was, I was thinking like the Tyler Perry model:
Right.
tour it, stage play, build your audience, then turn it into a TV sitcom, and that way you've built an audience. And
Right.
he said it to me. He said, you don't have to do a stage play. He says, time is different now.
Wow.
He says Tyler did what he did because he didn't have back then what we have now.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? And when that man said to me, listen, let's talk about making it a sitcom, I couldn't believe it. And so that's one of the reasons I moved back to Los Angeles, is to establish that. And so we are in the process now. Listen, we done bought all the furniture for the offices. I got the sound stage because I told him I don't want to use the sound stages in Burbank and Hollywood. I said I want my own sound stage
Come on.
I can build my sets and I can film it anytime I want it. And so they were good. They were good with that. And so we got our sound stage here in Carson. And Lord willing, the beginning of the year, we'll start filming our first sitcom. We're doing all the auditions right now, and we just landed our lead role. I just can't tell
Right.
who it is,
Right.
but it's awesome. The sitcom is called The Love Therapist.
Uh-huh.
And the love therapist, he is a marriage relationship counselor. His name is Dr. Harold Washington. He has a best friend from college. He has an associate in it. And so we're going to look at some of the challenges that marriages faces and relationship faces, and we're going to put comedy around it. But at the end of the day, I want husbands and wives to laugh, but then I want them to take a survey and say, you know what, I treat you like that, I talk like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully through this laughter, it will foster healthier marriages. And then as far as relationships, is to promote relationships to become covenant marriages. One episode is called Teach Me How to Love You. You know, the husband, he wants to love his wife, he just don't know how. And he seems to think that just buying her stuff is love, but he's never present, you know. And so she prefers him over the things. Another episode is a couple that's been living together for 15 years. He's been promising her that one day he will marry her. Every time she
Shacking.
brings it up, he makes a million excuses. And the joke of it is he got a little dog, and the dog runs around the house jingling the license around his neck, reminding her that the dog got a license, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
That's
So,
good. Come
so
on, Bishop.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
so
so it's gonna
Bishop,
be awesome, man. Yeah.
so Bishop, you mean to tell me that I can't tell the folks that I done got the leading role? You know, I
By
ain't supposed
faith.
I ain't supposed to say that.
By
You know,
faith.
well, rumor has it. I'm just gonna deal with this rumor that as a part of your sitcom, you gonna have cameos by a radio station with two of your good friends on it that they could call in and ask questions.
Well. Check this out. The cameos will be the couples, like the married couples or the single couples. They will be, but it'll be about a either six or seven member cast.
Right.
You know, if you think like Martin Lawrence, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
his regular cast, and so Dr. Harold, he's divorced, but his ex-wife, they're friends, but you'll never see her. They have a son in college. He had his secretary, her name is April. She really likes him, but he looks at her like you my baby sister.
Right.
And then when he does date, she likes to control it, you know. So he'll say something like, "Hey, get me a dozen roses. I'm going out on a date tonight." And she's upset, mad. You know, she don't like anybody he wants to date. And so when she get the roses, she gives the girl, she gives him 10, but she keeps two for herself. And then he has a college buddy. He's right. He's just wild. He like everybody.
That's
And so
real
it's just gonna
life.
create
These are real life
oh man,
situations. These are
it's
real life
gonna be
situations.
so much fun. And actually, they gave me a team of writers as well. But I said to them, and I said, look, I said, I really don't need a team of writers. I said, because I've been doing marriage counseling for the last 25 years.
Right.
And all the stories I need comes from those
Personal
experiences. I
experiences.
just changed the names, you know, don't
Right.
say their names. And then I found out, and they were like, okay, well, we can do that because the uncle, he wrote all of the episodes of all of the series of I Dream of Jeannie. One
Yeah.
person,
Well, we love
Yeah.
one
Jeannie.
person.
So
Yeah. And I said to him, I said,
Bishop.
you know, I said to have writers for me will be like trying to, you know, get writers to write my sermons.
Yeah. So
And I don't do
Bishop.
I
that.
agree. I
So,
agree.
so
You know,
are you doing auditions right now? Is it open auditions? You know.
Uh, it's 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 um it's open and closed auditions,
Okay.
and I'm really not even responsible for that part.
Right.
Okay.
You know, I'm
I
not responsible for that part.
I think it's awesome that God is allowing quote unquote gospel artists to expand their boundaries. Look at Yolanda
Almost definitely.
Adams with Kingdom
Yes.
Business.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
got another season.
It's all about advancing the kingdom through through social media, through the airways, and through television. If you're going to advance the kingdom, you can, you know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But this has always been a childhood dream.
Right.
It's just that God allowed my music to excel, and and now I'm just at that place now that, you know, every time I have a meeting, I had a staff meeting the other day, and sometimes I just had that moment. I'm like, can this really be real? Is this real?
Faithfulness.
When I walk through the sound stage, I'm thinking, is this really real? You know, but God wants to he wants to excite you
Yes.
and reward your faithfulness.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
You just can't, Elder. You just can't remember the white. You can't forget the white cassette. That's the
Amen.
key.
right.
Don't forget it.
Yeah.
Don't forget it. And
Don't
you
forget the white cassette. Don't forget people who have sold into your life
yeah.
and who have spoke words of encouragement, who kept you moving. Don't forget it.
Yeah.
You could have easily signed with a major label when you first started,
Definitely so.
but you didn't. You
Right.
really helped build that particular company.
Yeah. Well, I was signed to a major label before that company. I was signed to Sparrow Records in 1991, you know. And after we did two projects with them, because my second album was recorded live at Capitol Records in Hollywood, California, you know. But back then in those days, if you didn't meet a certain quota,
Yes.
trust me, I had a 5-year deal with them. We only did two records. And after the second record, I didn't meet the quota. And the owner himself, God
Bill
bless his
Hearn.
soul, yeah, I wasn't even gonna say the name,
Oh,
but you
sorry.
just did. But no problem. But anyway, he actually said to me, I can say this because he's no longer alive. And I said, well, are we gonna do another record? He said, no, we decided not to. We don't really believe in you anymore. And I'm thinking to myself at that age, I'm in my early 20s, he could have chose a million different words instead of saying we don't believe in you. And
Yeah.
I had a time with that, you know. And so I remember, um, um, you know, pulling my resume together and all this kind of stuff to seek for another label. I even wrote a song out of that I never recorded. The title is "Where Do I Go From Here?" And the word says, "Where do I?" It said, "Lord, where?" And my heart was heavy. I said, "Lord, where do I go from here? How do I make my pathway clear? I need your direction to give me the right selection, because all I just want to do is your will."
Wow.
And yeah, and so what happened was, in the midst of that, God said to me, "Stop seeking, finish what you started." And see, I started Bible college, but I dropped out because I got too busy.
See.
And see, go back to school. He said, because music is your gift, but preaching is your calling.
Wow.
And so I went back to school. I'll never forget this. One day I was at West Angeles in the break room, and it was Judy McAllister's mother. She was visiting that day. She came in and she saw me. She said, son, she says, I just feel in my spirit, I got to tell you this. She said, God has put your gift on the back burner, but he's not going to let it burn up.
Jesus.
And let me tell you what happened. After I graduated, after I graduated, I got a phone call from Dr. Margaret Pleasant DeRoe.
Yes.
And she said, I love your music. I didn't know that woman knew who I was. Y'all know who she
Oh
is.
yeah, she's
And
phenomenal.
so she said, well, I'm doing a live recording and I would love for you to write a song. And I just wrote a song called I Feel All Right. I wrote it because I didn't feel all right.
Right.
I was trying to make myself feel all right.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, long story short, so I recorded the demo, gave it to her. And so she said, wow, I love the way can you sing? I would love to. And I sung that song on her record, and she was signed to JDI. And JDI said to me, hey, what are you doing now? I said, man, I just finished college. I'm finished my records with Sparrow. He said, well, after we do this, we got to talk. And that was the beginning of my relationship with JDI.
Wow.
And the first song, watch this now. So when I recorded Battlefield with Sparrow. It was produced by Bill Maxwell.
Yes.
I used all of Andre Crouch's singers, Rose, Tata Vega, Donnie McClurkin sang background, his two sisters. That was my background singer. Wow. Herb Whalen plays sax, Harlan Rogers on keys, Abraham Laborio. That was Andre Crouch's his whole crew.
Wow.
But nobody played Battlefield because it was done in the studio, and it was, it was just like all that ooh, wah, wah, all that, the way Andre does his stuff. And so when I got with JDI, I said, you know what? I would love to go back and re-record Battlefield. He said, I let him hear. I said, but I want to do it live like I always do it at West End, just with the church. And we did that, and that was my first song after Press Toward the Mark that took off. I traveled the country at least once and a half with that one song. And so God has just been faithful. Man.
Wow.
Well, one of the
He's
things
just been faithful.
I think that when you say things, people got to really analyze what was said. And I've heard this for years, but I just got the revelation when you said it, and that was when Judah McAllister's mother said that God is putting your music career on the back burner, and I began to think about what happens when you put your pot on the back burner. See, the pots that are up front, you attending to because they cook a little bit faster, you getting them ready.
Yes.
But when you put it on the back burner, you know that it's going to cook for a little while and it's going to simmer and it's
Yeah.
going to take a little bit longer because you now got it ready, but it gotta what they say cook down to the point
But
where
check
it's
this out. But even
yeah,
if it's on the back burner, sometimes it's just not ready to cook at all. So you don't
yeah,
even have the stove on.
yeah, yeah.
It's waiting for its next.
Yes. And that's what I want to say. So when people hear we put on the back burner, you got to really think about, just because it's on the back burner does not mean that it's not going to get to the table.
No,
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
no.
And so when God said, okay, it's time for you to come to the table, everything was ready and right, and it was seasoned just right.
Preparation.
And
You
then, yes.
better say that, man, because
Yeah.
when God brings it to the table,
Yes.
He wants it to smell good,
Yep.
Wants it to
look
be cooked
good.
all the way too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And He wants people to enjoy it.
Yes.
Well,
There's
we,
nothing worse than uncooked food.
Oh my God.
yeah. Well, we could talk to you for hours, but we want you to tell people how they can connect with you, and then we want to introduce a song that we've been playing. Your radio promoter call said you ain't playing my. Yes, we are. It's in rotation.
Well,
But
y'all played it first.
yeah. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
You
I
played
went
it
to the.
first. I sent that. Yeah, y'all played that for anybody.
Yeah. I went back to the program director and see how God works. There was a glitch with Media Base, and since then we done
Right.
got the glitch fixed. And so you tell your radio promoter, who we love dearly, tell him it's all right now. And you're gonna see God
See.
Radio sit up there like this.
See, I know that's right, man.
Yes, yes, yes. So how can they find you? And then we want you to introduce the song.
Okay, so my email address is normanhutchins@yahoo.com. A good number to reach me is 302-399-5100. And then our YouTube channel is IR Music Group. Click on the videos and see all the videos. And if you subscribe, and hit the notification button, any new singles we put out, you will be first to be notified. Social media is Norman Hutchins, the real Norman Hutchins, Instagram, Facebook, and then of course normanhutchins.com. And you know what I didn't know? I didn't know I had a what they call that thing?
Ticka-taka?
No, somebody called me and said, "You have what's that when all your information is on this thing?"
You talking about LinkedIn?
Wikipedia. Wikipedia.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't know that. Someone said you have a Wikipedia.
Yep, you
I
do.
almost couldn't even pronounce. Yeah, and I said, "Well, please, man, you if y'all just Google my name, you'll find me."
now this,
You know,
this,
and
this
but you know what I do? I promise you this: I respond to every call that I receive.
yeah. And this is a
I
little
do that.
secret about Wikipedia. Make sure that your extraordinarily wonderful manager wife go on there and make sure all the information is right because you can correct anything that's wrong.
And I didn't know that
Yeah.
because they do have a lot of wrong information.
Yeah. And so you can
They
literally
really
go
do.
on there and say, this is who I am. This is the correct
Right.
information. And they will update it for you.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
for that information because we'll have to do that. But
Amen.
anyway, let me thank you guys so much for this interview and for all that you do and for playing the music. This song, "Shout Like You Got It,"
Woo.
was birthed in an interesting situation in my life. I said to someone one time, I think I want to check ancestry.com to see if I am Job's fourth cousin because of the things I've been through and the things God has allowed me to survive. So this song was written after being hospitalized for 3.5 months with COVID, fighting for my life.
Yes.
And after 3.5 months, God allowed me to come up out of that hospital. And as I was reflecting on all that I'd gone through, this song talks about what I've been through, but it also talks about where we are going. And so you shout because God has given you victory over your past, but you shout because God is taking you to your future. And so the song says, don't wait until you get it. Shout
Shout.
like you got it.
Right here on God Radio 1.
.com.